Mm,
Good morning, everyone. We are
Hello.
live. So, well, for Suzanne, it's good morning. For Annie and me, it's afternoon right now. But welcome. We are here talking about the Superwomen Entrepreneurs Global Mastermind, and today's topic is all about time management. How convenient, right? So, so
Yeah, really good.
Annie, please introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Annie, and I'm an immigration professional in Canada. Let me see if I can get this camera straightened out. Maybe not. We'll just try that. I'm an immigration professional in Canada, and I help people to immigrate to Canada and to bring their spouses and do various other processes that might help them with their desire to come and live in Canada, or in some cases to leave Canada, though more rarely. It's a really exciting job. It's a lot of problem solving and helping people, and I love it to death because of those reasons. I've spent my day researching some very interesting things that I never expected to be researching. So, I get a lot of excitement and different things happening, which makes it a wonderful position to be in. But I will say my first love is business. And I've been in business since my early 20s. And so I really hope that out of this group, I'm able to give someone some insight or some tips that make sure in business. So I'm Annie, and yeah, I hope I can help you today.
Thank you so much, Annie. Tommy, welcome to joining us as well. We're chatting today about time management in our Superwoman Entrepreneurs Global Mastermind. Guys, I am so super stoked. We are so close to going live. I'm just so excited. Tommy, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you. And yeah, what are we talking about time management and just what you think time management is all about?
Hi, my name is Tommy Abibu, clarity and growth expert, and I help people gain clarity in their business and also in their brand. Now, when it comes to time management, that is something that over the years I sort of have struggled with because I am more, well, I call myself a free spirit, meaning I want to do whatever I want to do at whatever time that I want to do it. So sometimes when I plan, I tend not to follow my own plans because I feel like I'm restricted. And the danger to that is that I tend to either overwork myself or I don't get things done on time. And so I tend not to miss deadlines, but I am the kind of person that will probably rush at the end to meet my deadline, which is not great. And, but time management, really, from my experience and from the knowledge that I have, is something that I believe that one has to be disciplined about. You have to have a level of discipline to follow whatever plan that you put together. It is important because if you want to grow, you want to meet deadlines, you want to satisfy your clients, you want to grow your business in any shape or form, you have to have control over your time. And recently, what I've done is ensure that I have a good system to help me out. Incorporated my project management system, incorporated with my CRM system, which sort of guides me. And I link everything back to my Google Calendar. So from my booking, from my project, everything under one calendar. So when I check my phone, the only thing I have to do is check my Google Calendar. And that has been so helpful to me and has guided me in achieving my goals. So definitely time management, you can't shy away from it, regardless of whoever you are, whatever you are, whatever business you are, because this is what is going to help you meet your deadlines and support your growth goals.
Yeah, I cannot agree more. I mean, with like consistency and what you were saying about this helps you grow. What I found a lot of the times is when you start something and you don't finish exactly that thing that you've been doing, you get distracted, it never gets done. And two, it is usually a lot more inefficient when you start something and then do something else. Or, oh, now I'm doing an email. Or, oh, now I have to answer a Facebook message. Or now I get a message from somewhere else. I don't actually get time to do what I'm supposed to do. But Suzanne, please give us some input on your side. Like, what do you do? Tell us about your part in the Global Mastermind, and how do you apply time management?
Yeah, I agree. It's really interesting, isn't it, when you get overwhelmed with something and then you don't finish, or you don't finish and then you get overwhelmed and then you've got so many other things to get done. It's just, it can be really, can just stop you in your tracks. So good morning from Cairns, Australia. I am Suzanne Scarrow, and my part in the mastermind is actually mindset and getting your mindset right so that you can be the best you want, that you can be in your business and in your private life as well. And I use tools like emotional freedom techniques and matrix re-imprinting just to clear those emotional blockages. So, and I've got a cool little tip for you about overwhelm, which I'll talk about later. But time management, I really love the free spirit, Tommy, because that's what I'd like to be, that free spirit. But you really can't just be the free spirit when you're trying to run a business, can you? You can have part of that, a bit of a balance of it. And you've got to balance in some time management, unfortunately, but that's the way it has to be. So time management for me has evolved over the years. I think I'm much better at it now than I used to be. And yeah, using a diary, prioritizing things, making sure everything is in that diary, because if it's not in the diary, it's not going to get done as far as I'm concerned. So if it's important to me, then it goes in the diary. Yeah, so I think that's enough to begin with. Thank you.
That's awesome, Suzanne. All right, cool. So what is that one thing that you guys have found, and we could just do popcorn style, about having a specific time to do something? Now, one, I know that you need discipline to actually do what you're supposed to do, like Tommy was saying. But what is that thing that keeps you either from doing it, and how do you counter that to then actually do what you're supposed to do in that time?
Can I just jump in here? What has helped me is to, first of all, identify what group my duties put my duties in groups. Say, for example, a time to check my emails, a time to do my projects. So projects could be like, God knows whatever I'm up to, right? A time to do. So put them in groups, and then put that at the slot in the daytime. So if I say 8 to 8:30, I do my email. So it could be any form of email, right? That is an email time. 8:30 to 11:30, I do my reaching out. So outreach, I call it outreach, meaning the moment to reach out to people, right? In terms of from a client point of view, from business point of view, basically to reach out to more people, networking, whatever route it has to be. So I'm not strict about, it has to be LinkedIn, it has to be calls. I just put, this is my outreach period. And after that, I put another sector, I think 11:30 to 1:30 is my project time, where whatever project I'm up to, that is when I do my project. I have a break and I have another project time in the afternoon. So the reason why I grouped that is because prior to that, what I used to do is I would say, okay, if I have, like, say, for example, 3 projects, for example, I will say I'll make it more specific, and I put that on the date, on a specific date. And then what tends to happen is when that day comes, sometimes I'm not in the mood to do that particular project, right? Every day is different. Sometimes I just don't want to do it, right? And I procrastinate, and I end up not doing it. So that's why I realized that when I group it and I call it my project time, so I look at the project that I have on hand and I'm like, okay, which one is more which one am I prioritizing? Which one can I do? Which one do I feel like doing? And that level of flexibility is still there to help me. During my outreach period time, maybe I'm just not in the mood to be on LinkedIn. Maybe I'm in the mood for phone calls. Maybe I'm in the mood but it's outreach. That is the time. That is what I'm doing at that point. Is that my time now is to reach out to people, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Clubhouse, whatever I feel like doing at that point in time. And that has really helped me, because before I would have like 20 to-do lists or 15 to-do lists, and I end up not doing it because maybe I'm just not in the mood to do that. But with that sort of grouping, apart from meetings, obviously you have to do meetings. But apart from, if I don't have any meetings, I just group them and I follow whatever whatever my mood is telling me to do at that point in time. So that's how I've done mine anyway.
So that free spirit is still ruling. I like it. That's really good. Yeah.
Yes, it is still ruling. I don't know. It's just the way my body is. It's just I just desire freedom. You know. I just don't. I don't like to be in a cocoon cornered, unless, like, say for example, obviously there's a deadline and I know how to finish it. Usually I finish my work before the deadline, but it just gives me that I want to enjoy business, right? I want to enjoy it. And I don't want to be in a position where I'm not enjoying it, right? You know, and that's what I don't want to do. I want to enjoy it every single day. And that's what has helped me anyway.
Yeah, I think that's so wise, Tony, because if you're not enjoying the business that you're in, why the heck are you in it in the first place? So, you know, you really want to be working this thing. That's why we're entrepreneurs, isn't it? So that we can do things the way we want to do it and the way it brings us joy. Yeah, it's really about like prioritizing what needs to happen and then doing it in a way that works for you. So, yeah, interested. Annie, how do you do that? Because you've got obviously so many demands on your time. How do you prioritize what needs to be done?
Okay, so that people can know the real side of me, there are periods in my life where I am considered a whirlwind. And wherever I go, it's like a path of destruction because I'm so focused on whatever is happening. But when I realize I'm being a whirlwind, then I put my tools in place. And that's what we really need to rely on, are these tools, because stuff goes like that. Sometimes it goes crazy. And my biggest tool is that list. It's been my entire life. My mother has told me to make lists, and she was 100% right. Make a list. So I make lists, and I love checking things off my list. I actually just checked a couple things off. And I prioritize my list. And as I go, I reprioritize my list depending on what has to be done. Just like Tommy, I rarely miss a deadline. That is a priority to me. But there are days where you just can't work on a certain file, or there's a file that is feeling really daunting and it's hard to get started. When I have a file that's kind of taking me a couple of weeks to get into, I finally just say to myself, you just have to do it. You know, you have to just get in there. And that's that discipline piece of it. But generally speaking, I stick to that list. If throughout my day, I am going through my list and I start to feel a bit bogged down or, you know, washed out from the day, I go for a run or go for a walk, and that freshens me up so I can keep going. So these are conscious strategies, you know, and it's not, you know, people look at individuals like us who are businesswomen and they think, wow, you know, they've really got it down. But we don't. We have these strategies that we go to so that we can accomplish the millions of things that we do in a day. So, and I want to be a successful businesswoman, but I also want to be successful in the other areas of my life. You know, I like to run, and today I got a boat for the first time in 20 years. So I'm going to start sailing again and things like that. So it is a lot of balancing those things, and you've got to get those into your list too, because if you don't have those things as part of your, I need to do these things, your work's going to bog you down and you're never going to get anything done. So it's really important to find that balance and use your tools and use all the tools that we have, because we didn't come by them naturally. We all worked and learned them and had mentors and read books and did all those things, and we're able to pass them on to you, and we use them because they work.
Absolutely. I agree. It's self-care is so important, isn't it? If you don't take that time for yourself and look after yourself and nurture yourself, probably no one else is going to do it, for one thing, because no one else can do it. It's your job to do it for yourself. But if you don't do it, then you're going to burn out. If you're just doing and doing and doing business or whatever you're doing in life and you're not taking care of yourself, then burnout is on the chart. It's on the road. So you need to take that time for yourself. Daphne, how do you prioritize all the things that you've got to do? Because you're dealing with people all around the world, aren't you? Different time zones. That must be quite a challenge.
I am. I usually try and get my team involved as much as I possibly can. I'm busy reading this book, Run Like Clockwork, and they're talking about the 4 Ds: your design, your decision making, your delegating, and your design, decision, delegate, and I forgot the other one. But anyway, what it is about is that how much time are you actually doing? Doing is the other one. Design, delegate, decision, and doing. How much of this time are you actually spending on each of these factors? And for us, is when we're doing time management as the heads of our departments or the head of our organization, we usually spend majority of the time on doing. And what I've found is when I've gone through this exercise is to literally do a time tracker. So I put myself on Time Doctor, I put my whole team on Time Doctor to see how much time is each one of us spending on each different D, for example. What can we trim? What can reduce the time that we're spending on? What can we trash, which is an activity that we don't actually have to do? And which one can we give off to someone else? Is there something that we can give our interns to do that I don't really have to do, but might still be an important part? So what we've been trying to do through this is time management, but in the 4 Ds. So for me and for us, which are on the head of our departments, we should focus majority of our time on the design. There's no one better that can do that but us. You know your company better than anyone possibly can. So how much time are you spending on looking at your company from a bird's eyes perspective, analyzing exactly who your target audience is, how are we going to get to our target audience, how can we pivot on a very quick way? So that's basically what I have found the best way to manage my time is to try and delegate as much as I can. However, what did happen before is that when we were delegating, the team did not always take full advantage of the outcome as well, which means it became a task. And when the task is just ticked, we don't get the results that we wanted, right? So what we still need to do is ensure that the results are also taken into consideration. So it's not just responsibility of the task, but also responsibility of the outcome. And that way, we don't have to make all the decisions, because even just making a decision takes a lot of time, right? When we are out there and going, hey, which color should I use? Hey, what do you think of this? Hey, is this the right copy? Whatever it is, those decisions take a lot of time. And in the role that we are supposed to play in our businesses, it is very disruptive, because then again, we can't get to where we need to be. We can't do what we're supposed to do. We can't design. So that exercise helped me phenomenally much just to understand where I should spend a lot of my time and where I have been spending a lot of my time. And in actually getting to the point of, all right, cool, I'm empowering you to do what I've hired you to do. But when I do that is when you ask me a question, not to answer it, but to go, well, what do you think? What result can you drive in our company? Is how is that decision creating wealth? So this is the part of how I've been trying to navigate this prioritizing and allocating time. So for me at this stage, to spend 2 to 3 hours on designing is phenomenal. It was like 20 minutes in the beginning, and then it was 30 minutes, and then it was none. So that's kind of how I started getting this happening. But Trace, you are online. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for being here. We are talking about time management. So would you mind introducing yourself, telling us what phenomenal aspect you are bringing to our global mastermind, and then just how do you do time management?
Good morning, everybody. I have been away. I've been looking after my self-care and actually took myself away on a lovely little holiday. So it's very important to refresh and recharge. So it's great to see you all. It is very early in the morning here. I have just come out of bed, so I'm not camera ready. So that's why my camera is off. But I'm just so pleased to see all of your beautiful, beautiful faces. I'm in Japan. I run multiple businesses, and time management is always such a something I work on, and not just in. So I have time set at least once a week where I'm crafting my intentions. What am I wanting to achieve in the week? It's where I write my lists. It's where I delegate my time, and being very not just scheduling myself, but also being very intentional about what I want to achieve from the week. And that does make it so much easier. So when you're taking that bird's eye view, time is our only commodity. So you've got to be very, very intentional in how you spend it. The other thing that I like to do at least once a quarter, and I found this so powerful, and it might be something that we as the entrepreneurial group here can actually do as a co-working thing together. I call it the 50-minute focus finder, and it is again so powerful because we carry so much mental load. We carry so many mental to-do lists, so many I'm a working mother, so I've got the household, and I've got my son, and as well as these 4 businesses that I run, I carry all of that in my head, and sometimes it is very, very overwhelming. So what I like to do is get it all out. I set a timer for 50 minutes, and have and I do it on by hand, and I just get out every single task that needs to be done. I don't organize it. I just get it all out. And 50 minutes, it's surprising. The first 20, 30 minutes, I'm writing furiously with every single to-do list that's on my brain, and I'm writing and I'm writing and writing, and it's after that first 30 minutes that you really, and you've still got that timer on, you're still in that focused time, and that's when these other layers come up, and you go, oh yes, what about this, and what about this? So I put everything down, everything from I need to send off my trousers to get rehemmed, to ordering the groceries for next week, to scheduling a board meeting, to doing my NPO work. All of that, it all comes out onto a piece of paper, and it is like a weight being lifted off you. And so once all that's out on a piece of paper, it's usually 6 or 7 pieces of paper that I've handwritten on. I then take a 20-minute break, go for a walk, do something completely different, come back and spend another 50 minutes organizing all of those tasks into home errands, into things that I'm doing for my household, things that I'm doing for my child, for my husband, and then I prioritize the rest of it into each of the businesses. So then I've that master list, and then each day I can move. So I do it actually each night. Is for the next day I pull across 3 major tasks that need to be done, and I pull that into the daily worksheet, and then I can check off those things, and then I can, within that quarter, I can usually get through pretty much everything in that list, and it's so freeing to not having it to carry it in your head, and to have it all on a piece of paper. And I don't use anything fancy. It's the reminders app on my Mac, which carries with me across all of my devices. So at any particular time, I've got some spare time. What's on my list? And I can go back to my list and go, right, I'm going to grab that job and check it off, and it's done. And it is so powerful to be able to do that, and not to feel like you've got to carry everything around in your head. So I find it very, very powerful. If we want to sit down and do it as a co-working, as a group, I'm all for that, because it's a very effective use of your time. And what am I doing for this group? I am I'm really been working very hard on getting the content together for branding. So this is for personal branding. I've been involved in branding in my companies for 20 years, and it's really important to figure out what your brand is. And it's not about the logo. It's not about the font. Those things are very nice, but the work that you need to do before you get to choosing fonts and logos and color schemes, the deep work that you need to do to get to your brand, who you're serving, what are you actually delivering, and what is the emotion that your brand is going to elicit in your customers. It's so important, but I can break it down step by step, and that's what I'm going to be doing. I've got a series of videos and I've got a series of worksheets where you can do that deep work too, where you can figure out what your brand is, who you're serving, who your ideal customer is, and how you can deliver that brand in the marketplace to really stake your claim in the world. So that's what I'm doing. I'm really looking forward to delivering it, and also being a part of this wonderful collective that you've put together, Daphne. So I hope that's been useful. That's me uncaffeinated. So I'm yielding the mic back to everyone else.
That's very cool. I just love it. What I absolutely love is, as we're talking about time management, I think it's like 8 o'clock in the morning for Suzanne. It is what right now? It is 4:30 in the afternoon in Texas. Annie, what time is it by you?
Yeah, it is 5:26 here.
All right,
the end of my day.
And Tommy, it's late evening for you as well, right?
I'm always struggling at this time. It's about 10:30.
Oh.
I'm always struggling.
So this is amazing. What I absolutely love about this is that we are all in different time zones, different things, yet we are able to manage our times, to still be here, to still make a difference, and to be able to give this absolutely phenomenal amount of value. So anyone that is listening, please do write your comments. We'd love to hear from you. Please write any questions that you might have for us about time management today. But I have another question for all of our ladies is, what is that one thing that sneaks up on you, that steals your time, that you kind of like, after the whole day, you're like, oh crap, what did I actually do? I was busy the whole day, but what did I do? So help me, let's dive a little bit deeper into that, because that touches on efficiency, that touches on productivity, and that touches on like proper product time management in a whole. So please help me here.
I want to go first. For me, and it happened to me again today anyway, is picking up the wrong phone calls, basically. Phone calls that are not helpful in your business, say from friends or even like a colleague, but you're just chatting away and you know you've got to go back to your work, but you prefer to chat because you don't want to go back to your work. And sometimes I might chat for like half an hour or an hour. And when you do that, you know that that is adding an extra hour to your work for at the end of the day. So, but however, I want to chat. I just want that break. But it's not good with your time management. It's not beneficial, because that happened to me today. And when I came off that phone call, I'm like, why did I talk for so long? I knew what I was doing, but I did it anyway.
But isn't that one of the things that we need so much these days, is that connection with other people when we're so disconnected because of what's going on in the world? So I think you need to give yourself permission to have that time, Tony.
Yeah.
I think for me it's the emails. So that's connection, but it's in a kind of disconnected way. The emails keep coming in. I know that what I need to do is turn my email off at certain times during the day and just like have a window of time that I look at it. And that would be really wise. I think I might start doing that today, actually. In my personal life, it's more like things like that I don't like doing. So, and actually in my business, it's things I don't like doing too, like the account side of things I don't enjoy doing. So I put those things off and put them off until eventually I've got to find a block of time. There's a deadline and I have to do it. So it's things really that I enjoy doing, things I don't enjoy doing. I've got to get the right balance. So I think balance is a bit of a key here. What about you, Annie?
I was off mute. I would say the emails and the calls. And when you take that call from you thought you recognized the number and it turns out that it's somebody who doesn't want to book a consultation and you're a friendly person. So you keep talking and you keep saying to yourself, I need to not do this, but I just keep talking. And then you've given them, all of your advice and they haven't paid a dime. So, but it feels good. So you do it. But yeah, that's a big one for me. I like to respond to emails immediately because I find if I don't, if I've read them, I may not get back to it. And I get so many emails in a day and they're important because they're all from my clients who are super important to me. So I do prioritize that. And part of my service is that I respond to people quickly. I try to get back to people really as quickly as I possibly can. And that I think provides them with some peace of mind. But I would say that there are times where it does feel like it's to the detriment of my business. So it's finding that balance, because sometimes firing off a quick message that you read after and you think that doesn't make any sense, or that wasn't actually quite right. Let's go back at that. So you end up doing things twice anyway. And so that is something that I actually consciously am working on. I don't think I'll ever be an expert in that area because I like to move quickly. But it's really, for me, it's just slow down. You don't always have to answer every email instantly. Which ones need to be answered now? Which ones could be answered later? And sometimes I'm really good at consciously determining which ones, and sometimes I'm just myself, which is just answer. So yeah, I mean, I think you've just got to be working on yourself all the time and do what you can do to do well.
Can I add something to that?
Please do.
Yeah, with regards to it's something that I've struggled with as well in the past, but I mean, what I'm doing now is helping me. So maybe it would help you in terms of blocking out time. So say, for example, 8 to 8:30 in the morning, I check my emails. And if I can't finish, I can't finish. There's another time in late afternoon when my brain can't do much work anymore, maybe around, I think it's 4. I have to check my calendar and I don't know. I block that time. So is that 4 to 5 or something in that line, or 3:30 to 5, something in that line anyway. So it's twice a day, every single day, but it's short times. So whatever doesn't fit in, it doesn't fit in. And I'm again to the floor. And if you do it regularly on a daily basis, eventually you will clear your backlog.
And you probably, I don't have a backlog. I can't stand seeing a number in my email. It has to be 0 at all times, or I just start to, so there's no backlog. My concern is that if I don't answer, I might not go back to it. So that's where I get worried. So it's finding a strategy where I feel like I'm responding to people quickly, but not letting that interfere when I'm doing one of those bigger chunks, like you were saying earlier, that you have the little things that need to be done, but then you need, it might have been Daphne even, a bigger chunk of time to do a project. And that is something that I've been working on strategizing, because it's, those little things will take over your day. And then you don't get to that main project, which for me is an application. So if I actually need to do an application and complete an application because I have all the documents finally and it's time, then I need a block of time where I can sit down and focus on that. Whereas prior to that, in my business, it's a lot of back and forth and getting things and giving examples and templates. And so it is just sort of quick back and forth for a long time. But then you get to that period where at least once a day I'm doing an application, and I need a period that's sort of a 2-hour block to concentrate. And if I don't get that, then we've got problems. So, yeah.
I love that you're talking about blocks, because that's how I really manage my time. And I have this funny little technique that it's kind of based around the Pomodoro method, where you have 25-minute blocks of time and then a 5-minute active rest. So what I do is I try to break down all of my tasks into 25 minutes, and that's my focus. So I set a timer, I set my intention, and I just work on just that particular thing for 25 minutes, and then the timer goes off, and then I stop. And then what I do is I have on my computer, I have like a little square, and I just copy a little block onto that square. And then at the end of the day, I can look and go, how many blocks did I get done today? How many blocks of work did I get done today? And it's a visual representation. It's almost like a to-do list rather than a to-do list. So it's like, yeah, I got all this stuff done today, and it does fill you up. It makes you feel like you've actually done some things, because that I used to have that feeling at the end of the day, like Daphne was saying, that I'd get there and go, well, what did I actually do today? Like, there's, how many hours I've spent, working. What have I achieved? And having that visual representation reminds you that you've done a lot of work, and reminds you that you've that to pat yourself on the back, and that you've earned some rest. And I think as entrepreneurs, we are very hard on ourselves, and we sometimes we feel like we don't deserve the rest, but it's so important. And when I have the blocks there, it makes me recognize, oh yeah, I've achieved these amount of blocks in a day, and which is a visual representation of the output that I've done. So, for example, one block might be, I'll sit there and do a support emails for 25 minutes, and like Tommy was saying, I'll just do emails for those 25 minutes. And then I'll come back to that later in the day and do another 25 minutes. These are support emails. These are not customer emails that have to be dealt with. So I'm because I run 4 businesses, I have to be very, very segmented. The brain, and Suzanne can probably speak to this as well, is that the brain, we like to think that we're multitaskers, but the focus, it's just not possible. So to focus on one thing, and one thing only, for 25 minutes, which is a really good amount of time, and then having a 5-minute active rest, where you're just rewarding yourself by, again, getting up from your desk, walking around the office, or walking around, doing something different, making a cup of tea, whatever that is, and you're rewarding your brain for having those 25 minutes. I found it's such a difference to my productivity, and also my feedback reward system, which is again important. We need to remind ourselves that we're doing a great job, and that and that does help not take you down that path to burnout. I hope that's useful.
Oh, definitely. I love that. I love the time blocking. I love what you guys are all saying. This is valuable input. One thing that I also try and do to help me from being distracted, to actually keep focusing on, is I put my phone on the do not disturb. Because that means I don't get any notifications. I don't get anything that comes through. I am, for that period of time, I'm on do not disturb, and that helps me quite a bit with focusing. I also close each and every other application on my phone or on my laptop that might be disturbing. For example, the messaging system that we use internally, that one is the most active all the time, and it is super, super distracting when you're trying to do something. So I've been closing all the apps, closing all of the do not disturb on my phone. And actually, I want to ask you guys this. So I've been trying to I really want to taste this. But Trace, you were talking about rewarding yourself. So I've been reading up quite a bit on like taking a nap, like nap time in the afternoon. How that actually, with the case studies that I've learned or that I've read, increases your productivity, and then basically everything else that you're doing, with up to 60%. So I would love to try that within my organization. I just don't know how we're going to monitor it that people actually do it, because we're not in a office environment. So the case studies that I've read is everyone goes literally into nap time. The office, everyone puts down their laptops. Laptops are off. The lights go off. And they put their sleep masks on, and they take a nap for a certain period of time, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's just part of the culture in some organizations, and it increases productivity. So help me, or what do you guys first think of that idea and the case studies and things that have been done? And is it something that you would try?
I want to say that I have tried it before, not intentionally. I have tried. There was one day where I'm not sure, maybe more than once actually, where I was super tired. Like I don't know why I was so tired that day. I was super tired and I could not control my eyes. And I lay down on the couch and I slept for, I think was an hour or a couple of, I can't remember. Well, by the time I woke up, I was so, I was so productive. I did so much. My brain was so clear. So I'm not surprised about that report that you're mentioning. And if you want to incorporate that in your organization, I guess what you need to consider is, where do they sleep? Do you have like a relaxation or recliner where would help them? Because obviously they can't sleep on the chair. So is there a room where there is like few recliners there? People can just close their eyes and just, put on this spa music, something very low or something that is very relaxing, where they can actually sleep. Because what you do not want is you give people that opportunity and they go on their phone and use social media. So, so I think it's something you may want to consider. And I think in part of Europe, they do actually do that, where they have like a lunchtime nap. I can't remember what country, whether it's Italy or Spain, I don't know, but there's a part in Europe that they do that. They go for an afternoon nap. So that means they finish later on in the day. And it's because of the impact on the productivity, on, well-being of people as well, it's happened to me, and I know, and I really, really do wish I could do that regularly. And now that you mention it, maybe I would incorporate that in my own plan as well. Maybe September. My August is very, very busy right now and stressful. So maybe September I would. Call me onto that, Daphne, or anyone else in September. Did you sleep in at lunchtime?
Yeah, it's Spain, where they actually have siesta time in the middle of the day, and I thought it was because of the heat. So it's cooler in the morning and cooler in the afternoons. But when you have a sleep, you're taking all the resistance out of your mind. So, if you've got lots of negative things going on, if you've just got overwhelm going on and you're overwhelmed with everything that you've got to do, one of the best things you can do is either sleep, which stops all that resistance for a while and gives your mind a rest, or you could go out into nature and you could just go for a walk and breathe fresh air, or you could meditate. And sometimes, sometimes meditating is the thing to do. However, if you're not able to relax enough, then that's when you need to go to sleep. So I just, for myself, I do it according to what I'm feeling. So if I'm feeling really overwhelmed, I'll give myself time to go and have that rest. If I'm feeling like I need to walk out in the sunshine, I'll go out in the sunshine. So I don't know that you could prescribe it for your workers. I don't know if I was one of the workers that I'd like to have that prescription that I must have a sleep at such and such a time. That would probably upset me. I was going to swear then. I won't swear on. So, yeah, I think, but sleep, taking that break and taking that time for self-care is so important. I would love to be as organized as Tracy. Tracy, you are definitely a superwoman, to be able to do all that you do for businesses and to be so organized in it. I am cheering you from afar, my dear.
Some days are better than others, Suzanne, I will admit. But what I do is I actually am very intentional about the time because I don't know about you, is that but there are times where that little reptilian brain just doesn't want you to do something. It's just like going, no, I'm just going to watch Netflix, and I'm going to or I'm going to have a sleep. But that reptilian brain is there going and making you feel guilty. It's like, oh,
Yes.
You should be doing this and you should be doing that. So you get to the end of that time, like the binge watching of Netflix or whatever, and then you feel so guilty. And that's such an unhelpful emotion. So what I do is I'm very intentional about it. It's like, if I'm going to have an afternoon nap, I'm going to celebrate that. It's like, this is my choice. I'm going to have an afternoon nap because I'm listening to my body. This is what I need. And I'm not going to feel guilty about it because it means that I'm refueling for the things that I'm going to be doing. And it's the same with Netflix. There's nothing wrong with sitting there and taking a break and watching and binge watching Netflix. But give yourself permission to do that. Have that intention of, this is what I'm doing. I'm a grown-ass woman. I'm going to choose how I'm going to spend my time, and I'm not going to apologize for it. So yes, I'm going to binge watch RuPaul's Drag Race, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it, because I know that when it goes off, I'm also running a whole bunch of businesses, but I'm using this time to refuel and refresh so that I've got energy to do something else. It's that contamination of guilt or procrastination that is so toxic to the nervous system. Just being intentional, saying, look, this is my time. I'm going to do it and I'm going to enjoy it. And that is so much better for you to be productive when you're not spending a whole bunch of time then feeling guilty about the time that you spent procrastinating. So yeah, being a grown-ass woman and saying, yes, I'm going to do this. This is my time, and don't apologize for it. And then being able to get on with everything else. So yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Not always successfully, but that's my intention.
Yeah, that's perfect, because you're giving yourself permission, and so that takes all the guilt out of it. That's perfect. I love it. Well done. Yeah. So what do you all do when you get overwhelmed? What's your recommendation for people who are watching when you get overwhelmed with things?
Wine.
Daphne, wine. Yes, that's a good place to start. Yes.
I like to do that focus finder that I spoke about initially.
Yes.
That is so helpful because when your brain is running and you're feeling that guilt or you're feeling the overwhelm and your hormones are just raging, just stopping and then getting everything out of your head, everything down on a piece of paper. It is like a weight coming off your shoulder, and I put everything down on those things, even things like, like I said, hemming my pants, or taking such and such to the post office. All of those things are weighing you down, and they're giving you stress, and there's something in the brain. And Suzanne, you can probably speak to that about what that is doing in your brain chemistry. But getting that all down on paper and getting it all out of your head is just such a relief to release that mental load. So that's what I do. At least once a quarter, I do that.
Yeah, that's great. Tommy, what do you do?
Yeah, I think I occasionally do get overwhelmed because I tend to overwork myself. However, when I catch myself, I tend to just step back and take things into perspective, meaning that, it's not the end of the world. The world is going to continue, whether you get it done or you don't get it done, and basically take a step back and just intentionally take a break. Even if I know that I've got work to do, sometimes I just say to myself that in the next few hours, I'm not going to do anything. And as Tracy said, I just put on TV and then just relax and do absolutely nothing. Take my phone away from myself, move away from my laptop, and just take a step back and just forget about the whole thing. And then that helps my brain to refresh when I get back to it. So taking a step back is a strategy that I do take once in a while.
I have to agree with what actually Tommy was saying. After we've had our wine and we chilled, I also actually take the same technique of writing everything down, because the minute you write it down, it's almost as if it's visually, it doesn't become as big anymore. When you break it down into smaller bite steps, then it's no longer that big. Then it's manageable, it is time efficient, and you can be productive within that. So, that I also actually apply that technique in reality.
Absolutely. I've got a little technique that I use which might be helpful to some people, and that is when so it's the same thing. If I've got a list of things that need to be done, I write it all down, and then I take a piece of paper, which is like an A4 size piece of paper, put it sideways, so it's, what's that? Not portrait, but the other way, landscape, and divide it in half. And on one side of the page, this is my things that I can do today. So writing down the things that I can do today, and all the other things I put on the other column, on the right-hand column. And these are the things that I'm asking universe for help with. So all of the things on the right-hand column, I put out of my mind. I leave that for the universe to take care of today. I do my side of the page, which is just a few things, maybe 4, 5, 6 things. And I'll get those done and I'll tick them off and feel the achievement of it. And what I find is the universe actually brings some solutions to these other things in the right-hand side of the page. So if you trust the universe, it will bring those solutions to you as well. So it's a bit the same as what you're talking about, Tracy, writing it all down and sort of your 50-minute process, but in a little way, leaving some of it up to the universe instead of expecting myself to do the impossible, because you just can't. Sometimes you just can't get it all done in one day, and you kind of need permission to not get it all done in one day. Leave some of it for the universe, some of it for tomorrow, whatever happens, happens.
I love that. I love that. I love that you're actually having an intention for the universe, because there is magic where you I'm really not woo-woo at all, but I do believe in setting intentions and having things just fall into place. And that's where you put your focus, where you put your energy. Things happen sometimes on their own. And I love putting a to-do list column for the universe. I'm going to incorporate that. Thank you, Suzanne. That is brilliant.
You are so welcome.
You ask for what you want. There's someone I know, and he's got a really good saying that he says, like, the quiet kids don't get the lollies, don't get the sweets. So ask for what you want. The most powerful words you can put down in emails is like, do you know someone who ... Like, ask for what you want, ask for what you want to receive. But having that also not just for people but for the universe, I'm loving it. I'm going to start using that this week. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I know it will be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all from me. We are a little bit on our time now, so thank you so much for joining us. As we end off, I would really like each and every one of you to give one time management tip, even if it's just recapping what we've already said today. But before we go, so each and every person, our Facebook page is live. Please go like our Facebook, Superwomen Entrepreneurs. Join our group, Superwomen Entrepreneurs. Our Instagram is up, Superwomen Entrepreneurs. Please do go like it, follow us, be part of our community, ask your questions. We'd love to meet you and be part of us being our Superwoman Global Mastermind that should be live in the next few weeks. So my last tip for today is, in order to get time management done and to get your time blocking, avoid any distraction. So close all your apps, put your phone on the do not disturb, but keep to your focused time. Avoid any distraction in order to keep to the time that you've allocated to what you needed to do.
My tip would be to bring joy into as much of your day as you possibly can, because that will energize you, like the Energizer rabbit or whatever it is, bunny, the Energizer bunny. I'm not sure if you have that in other countries, but in Australia we do. And so then if you're bringing joy in, you've got more energy, you're getting more done, and you're feeling good about it. And that's really important, to feel as good as you can. That's my tip for today.
My tip for today is to create chunks of work, group your work, and on a daily basis, and get it done depending on what group you have at a specific time. For example, grouping your a time where you're going to check your emails, grouping a time where you're going to do admin work, a grouping a time where you're going to do your projects. If you're like me, that you have this free spirit, but at the same time needs to get your work done. So group your works and get it done accordingly. So that's my tip.
I agree, Tommy. That's how I organize my day as well. I'm just going to add to that, piggyback off yours, and say that what I do before I start a chunk of work, before I start is actually just spend a moment. Doesn't have to be a long time. Just a moment visualizing that work complete, and how I'm going to feel when that's done, and so basically setting the intent for that particular chunk, that particular block, whatever you want to call it, and just and remind yourself how you're going to feel when that's done, and have all of your distractions off, and get that done, and then at the end you go pat yourself in the back and go, yep, I did that. No one else is going to fill you up. No one else needs to really recognize the things that you've done, because as entrepreneurs we don't have bosses. We have to give us the recognition, and we have to give ourselves the praise that we would normally get from a boss. So I hope that's useful. I hope it's a useful way to tie all that up. I love hanging out with you wonderful superwomen. So I'm really happy that I dragged myself out of bed this morning. Daphne, you're the only one I do this for.
I love you, Trace. You're amazing. So thank you so much, everyone. Follow us, join us, ask us questions, and we'll be here again next week, same time, same place. Have an awesome day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.